coming on the air after learning new details about the deaths of hundreds of innocent people in Ukraine, including we're learning more about the death of another American there. Secretary of State Tony Blinken backing up the president now, saying he personally believes Russia is committing war crimes. So what is Russia's next move? And we're live on the rescue in hard-hit Mariupol after a theater sheltering hundreds of people, clearly labeled with the word kids in Russian, was bombed. And the latest on conflicting reports about how WNBA star Brittney Griner is doing while she is detained in Russia, and what we know about other Americans who may be in the same situation. Plus, a new wave of COVID hitting Europe and Asia now. The Surgeon General telling me it is very possible we could see another surge here. We'll explain what that could look like. And in Mexico, the government trying to stop the murders of journalists there, 8 this year alone. What they're planning on doing now and why it took so long. And Kanye West, suspended from Instagram still tonight in a development that touches mental health, emotional abuse, race, the reaction to what happened and why, later in the show. Hey, I'm Hallie, and tonight we're starting with the new details that more than 700 innocent people, including more than 50 kids, have now been killed in Ukraine. Casualties of the siege Vladimir Putin has unleashed, with the U.S. confirming an American died there just today and warning Russia will try to kidnap Ukrainian leaders, all in a push to take over the country by force. Here's the Secretary of State just a few hours ago.
This is a terror tactic. Grab local officials, depose local governments, put proxies in their place.
In Mariupol, rescuers are trying. They are trying to pull survivors from what's left of a theater bombed by Russian forces 24 hours ago. This theater was sheltering hundreds of people, including kids, clearly labeled. If you can see it, you see the red roof, and there's the labeling, the word children written in Russia in white. The UN ambassador saying local officials have told families to leave their dead relatives behind because it is too dangerous to hold funerals. Mariupol City Council says the city's lost as much as 80% of its housing, and more than 350,000 people are hiding in shelters and in basements as these Russian troops keep up their relentless shelling. So let's talk operationally what Russia is doing. They are now in control of a small city in eastern Ukraine, Izium, after weeks of what Amnesty International calls constant attack, with a senior defense official telling us Russia's launched more than 1,000 missiles so far. We've got a lot to get to, and I want to start with Ali Arouzi on the ground in Lviv, Ukraine. We've gotten those latest horrific civilian casualty numbers from these official estimates, Ali, and you have the Defense Ministry of Ukraine saying today that these attacks towards Mariupol are continuing, with new concerns from the Pentagon end, based on our team's reporting, that Odessa may be next. Talk to us.
Well, the Mariupol thing is just devastating, Hallie. I mean, as you pointed out, in the front of the theater, in the back of the theater, in Russian, it was written children. That didn't seem to deter the Russians from dropping a bomb right on the roof of that theater. The Ukrainian officials said that there may be up to 1,000 people in there, mostly women and children. But one good piece of news out of that is that they all seem to have been deep down in the bunker of that theater, and most of them appear to have survived. They're telling us now that about 130 people have been pulled out of that bunker. But rescue workers here in Ukraine are literally taking people out, taking stones and rubble out by hand to get these people out of there. But Mariupol is a desperate place. It's been decimated by the Russians. It's a siege and starve campaign by them. We spoke to a lady who had escaped Mariupol with her family and her 3 dogs. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Every minute something changed there, because when the bombs falling down on the city, everything ruins in a moment. The ruining is very strong. When you wake up, look out of the window and see the black smoke in the direction of your house or other districts.
I spoke to her. I said, what does Mariupol look like right now? She goes, I can't tell you what Mariupol looks like. I left the other day and they're hitting it so hard. The scenery changes the whole time. Buildings are gone. All you see there is black smoke and dust.
And yet there's this discussion about what you could call these peace talks, quote unquote, right? Some sort of ceasefire talks. And the sticking point seems to be this commitment from Ukraine to be neutral, essentially, that it wouldn't align itself with other military alliances, et cetera. We know that is not what Ukraine really wants here. How does that play out? Where do things go from here on that front?
Well, they're still talking, so that can't be a bad thing, but expectations are fairly low on those talks. Vladimir Putin is, sticking to his guns. He's being belligerent. The Ukrainians are pretty clear what they want from these peace talks. They want an immediate end to this war. They want all the Russians out of their country, and beyond that, there isn't much room for compromise other than possibly the NATO thing. Zelensky knows that joining NATO is probably a non-starter, so they could possibly negotiate on that. But Hallie, both sides need a peace deal. The Ukrainians need it because they want to save their country, and the Russians, in some way, for Putin to save face, need it as well because they're getting battered. Their generals are getting killed, their troops are getting decimated, their hardware is getting decimated, and not to mention that their economy is almost flat-lining here. So it's a really difficult position for the Russians too. I read a great line the other day. Not since Tsar Nicholas II has one man done so much damage to Russia in such a short period of time. So, you got to think, what is Vladimir Putin thinking these days?
And we know what the president is thinking, President Biden, Secretary of State Blinken, because over the last 24, 48 hours, we have heard this opinion labeled, war crime, basically, that he is a war criminal. That is not an official designation, obviously, but that is something that is still significant as we look at the sort of operational status of Russia on the ground, which is they are not making the advances that they want to be making on Kyiv thanks to this Ukrainian resistance.
That's right. They're not making the advances by land, by air, by sea. By all estimates right now, apart from a few cities in the east, the Ukrainians are pretty much in control of all of their territory, the major cities, and that's, as you mentioned, because they're putting up a fierce fight against the Russians. This is not what Vladimir Putin had expected. This wasn't this lightning strike and strategic move and that he was going to suddenly take over all of Ukraine. So now he's got to be reassessing his position here. That's why he's probably engaging in peace talks. He probably thought he would have had Kyiv in his hands by now, would have installed a puppet government there, but that's not what's happened, and Zelensky and his people are standing strong.
Hallie Arouzi live for us there in Ukraine. Hallie, thank you for being with us. We've learned that Brittney Griner's detention in Russia has been extended now based on reports for 2 more months until the middle of May. And the State Department is telling NBC News today they're concerned about the lack of access they've had to Griner. Remember, she's the U.S. Olympic basketball champion, the WNBA superstar who's been held in Russia for a month. And now the State Department says they've not yet been granted consular access. Russia is saying something different. A Russian news agency is today reporting a humanitarian aid worker who visited Griner said the pretrial detention center where she's being held is ready for a U.S. consular visit. Griner was arrested in Russia last month on charges of smuggling hash oil, which is extracted from marijuana. Russian officials say they found vape cartridges with the oil in her luggage at the airport. Her case has caught a lot of attention. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton just yesterday tweeting, "Free Brittney." Joining me now is Steve Patterson. And Steve, listen, this is conflicting information, right? The U.S. is worried about a lack of contact with her. And yet there is this, it seems, strategic decision, right, not to put her in the spotlight too much as they try these very sensitive, presumably diplomatic negotiations behind the scenes.
And that's why this is such a mess, Hallie. First, I think we have to color this entire conversation by saying we cannot viably trust anything from the Russian government or state-run media, especially now that there is this dialogue of open political hostility, including sanctions, and you have a target as potentially big as Griner, who's, as you laid out, is like the Kobe Bryant of the WNBA, potentially even bigger in Russia. The State Department says that it is Russia's obligation under the Vienna Convention, which governs treaties, that, as you mentioned, they must allow consular access. If they're not allowing that access, that's a violation of international norms. The State Department, again, says that they have not been granted that access. And I think we should find it very difficult to believe that they are not making every attempt. And if you want to be skeptical, you could add with the modifier, especially with how high profile this story is in the States. There has been almost nothing we've heard from Russian officials that passes above the level of what I would say dubious. But I will say that, as you mentioned, it's also been very difficult to suss out the information from the American side as well, because Griner's family and agents and teams and U.S. officials have all been relatively mute. They don't want to turn this into some sort of political celebrity cause, because that's the advice from the international relations experts. That would make her getting out of detention even more difficult. That's something that they don't want to risk, Hallie.
And there is there's a question of how she's doing, right? Because, Ambassador Mike McFaul, former ambassador to Russia, knows it very well. He's been in the Russian prison system, like observed it, is his time an ambassador there. And he says it's not a pleasant place to be, you know? So there's these Russian media reports that Griner's reading books. The only issue is her bed's too small because she's so tall. But again, as you say, the skepticism, taking this with a grain of salt is something I think you kind of have to do here.
Yeah, we have to say, you cannot trust Russia on this. We shouldn't believe them on anything, including the premise of the original charge itself. There's this guy, his name is Jonathan Franks. He represents American citizens that have been held by hostile governments. He's given several interviews saying that he's seen a number of hallmarks in what he calls an arbitrary detention in this case. Russian officials say, I'll just lay it out there, that she's, quote, calmly accepted the situation, that she has English-speaking cellmates that have offered to order her books, as you mentioned, and that she has no complaints other than the size of her bed, which is simply not big enough for somebody that's 6'9". Look, I believe that last part, but I can't imagine being held in a Russian or Chinese or Canadian prison and having no complaints. But again, based on what we've heard, this may be part of the strategy from the U.S. side. We just don't know. Hallie?
We know that, you know, based on some of the reporting and the folks that I've been talking to, we talk about Brittney Griner. I also talked with a mom today, just a couple of hours ago, Steve, who says her son has been detained by the Russians, too. That her son, this is Tina Hauser, her son Tyler, she says, moved to Ukraine to be with his wife. His son is there. He'd been living there. When the fighting happened, he basically got on a bus to try to get out through Turkey, was pulled off this bus, she says, and she hasn't talked to him since last Saturday. I want to play a little bit of our conversation. If you could get a message to your son, Tina, what would you tell him?
I'd tell him I love him and I miss him. And I'm trying so hard to find him. Just please be safe and be strong, Tyler. You're a good man. We'll find you someday.
I mean, she's going through something that is just so gut-wrenching. She's been in touch with the embassy. The embassy actually reached out to her yesterday, said this is a process that may take some time. Do we know how many Americans are in this position?
According to the James Foley Foundation that tracks this, 59 U.S. nationals or permanent residents are being held abroad. It is a desperate situation for so many, especially when you factor in the fact that they're away from their families, declining health, all of that taken into consideration. Terrible situation, Hallie.
Steve Patterson, thank you very much for staying on top of this story for us. We appreciate it. We want to talk now to another big headline here in this country. COVID cases in Europe and Asia has some folks wondering if a new surge is headed here to the U.S. Spoiler, maybe, probably. If you listen to experts, you've got China in the middle of its worst outbreak in 2 years. Cases jumping this week with 70 million people affected by some of these provinces that have locked down. And nearly half of all European countries seeing increases in new cases in just the last week. Why? Experts are blaming in part this subvariant of Omicron, BA2, that's what it's called. In fact, the CDC says the BA2 variant makes up about 23% of COVID variants here in the U.S. I spoke with the Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, today about whether he thinks we're going to see another surge. Is that what he's bracing for here in this country? Listen. Is it just a matter of time before cases here are starting to surge again like we see in Europe?
Well, Hallie, it's the right question. We've seen time and time again that a wave that begins in one part of the world often doesn't stay in that part of the world. And in many cases, it's come to the United States. So we absolutely have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, he says it's entirely possible we may see that. Joining me now is Meg Terrell. Meg, listen, that is the reality, right? At a time when more and more Americans, I think, seem to be getting used to this idea of life where you don't have to wear masks everywhere all the time, where vaccine mandates have been lifted in most places across the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, all of the things that are being blamed for the uptick in cases in Europe and the UK are all things that we have here in the United States as well. We've got waning immunity, we've got the lifting of masks and social distancing requirements, and we've got this more transmissible version of Omicron called BA2, which is growing in prevalence, as you pointed out, in the U.S. It's up to more than 40% in some parts of the country, including the Northeast, about a quarter of new cases now and growing quickly. So the question is, of course, even if cases rise, what does that mean in terms of causing more hospitalizations and severe disease? And that is really an open question. There's a hope that we have a lot of built-up immunity from the surge we just went through. Unfortunately, a lot fewer Americans are boosted than some European countries, so that means we have less protection, at least in the form of that vaccination, than a lot of these countries that have seen upticks in hospitalizations.
Can you talk to us about the variant thing here, Meg? Because there's some talk now about BA2, right? And now this sort of new variant that has come on the scene, Deltacron, this rather ominous-sounding name for it. How worried should we be about it? Because it seems like some experts are saying, hey, Deltacron, interesting name, maybe not so much of a threat right now, but BA2, you know, it's there.
Yeah, BA2 is certainly the one that is more on the forefront of all the experts' minds, because that one really is growing in prevalence. It's thought to be at least 30% more transmissible than the original Omicron, which is more contagious than everything we've seen before that. In terms of Deltacron, this is kind of a different thing. It's a combination of Delta and Omicron. And while that sounds really scary, because we remember Delta as being a more severe variant, that has not been observed here with Deltacron. Only a few cases of this have even been seen in very few countries. It doesn't appear to be growing in prevalence. So right now it sounds scary, but not something that experts are really worried is going to take over.
I just want to mention this because we found out today from the White House that President Biden was not considered a close contact with the Irish leader who's been in town, who we saw last night, who has come down with COVID, according to him. The second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, of course, Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, tested positive for COVID too. Listen, the president's not a close contact, but these are still close calls in the orbit, if you will. And it seems like a reminder that, like, COVID is not gone from our lives altogether. This is a high-profile reminder of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know about in your life, but I feel like a lot of my friends are getting COVID now at a time when we're sort of being told, okay, we're over the emergency phase. We have to remember there's still 30,000 cases being reported every day in the U.S. Those are just the ones that are getting reported. There's a lot more home testing going on that's not being reported. So COVID is still here in a big way. It can affect us in terms of cases. If you're vaccinated and boosted and not immunocompromised, you're in a pretty good position. But we still do have to worry about that. And of course, people worry about long COVID as well. So this is still with us.
Meg Drell, good to see you. Thank you for that breakdown. Appreciate it. Police think fog may have been a factor in this huge pileup in southeast Missouri today over on I-57. Officers say somebody hit their brakes and created a chain reaction with 40 to 50 cars. You can see the smoke billowing up. It was a deadly crash. At least 5 people have been killed. The highway's closed. And this is really just the start of what's supposed to be a weekend of severe weather, right? Not just, of course, that fog, but bad thunderstorms, the wind, the hail, potential tornadoes across the south. Check it out. This is video from the Atlantic coast of Florida on Wednesday when hail was hitting the area. A tornado also hit Sarasota over on the other coast, and this system is not done just yet. Al Roker is joining us now. Al, we are just at the beginning of this stretch of severe storms, no?
Absolutely, Hallie. In fact, this could be an unprecedented stretch of severe weather. Let's show you what we have going on right now. Out in the Rockies, this system is going to be causing problems. Already, we're seeing snow and some rain to the north of this system. Gulf moisture is going to be pulled up into it. And so tonight, we've got a risk of severe weather for 12 million people. New Orleans, Lake Charles, Hattiesburg, Shreveport, Dallas, Oklahoma City. We move into tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. Take a look down right along the panhandle of Florida and parts of Alabama on into Mississippi. We've got an enhanced risk where we could be looking at nocturnal tornadoes. Those are twice as deadly, but that severe threat extends all the way up into Nashville and into Evansville, Indiana. And then we move on into Saturday along the southeastern Atlantic coast. 9 million people at risk from Tallahassee, Columbia, Charleston, Wilmington, all the way till the Delmarva Peninsula. Here's what we're looking at. Warm, moist Gulf air is going to fuel these storms through Saturday. Strong upper-level winds going to enhance that storm development. And then so we get overnight wet snow, severe storms across the south into Friday. We move on into tomorrow night. That continues to push to the east. And Saturday, those heavy storms and the risk of severe weather, Hallie, on into the southeast coast, right on into Saturday night.
You called it unprecedented, Al. Why? I mean, why are we seeing this level?
Well, we're seeing all this really moist air, warm, moist air, the atmosphere holding more moisture, more heat, and that's the fuel for storms. And in fact, Hallie, we've got a risk of severe weather going into early next week. This is really rare to see the Severe Storm Center put out a severe risk for Monday. We're talking almost 5 days ahead. Look at Waco, Shreveport. We look at, that's Monday. Strong tornadoes. They're already calling for strong tornadoes. Then Tuesday, we've got a risk for Memphis, Tupelo, Mobile, Lake Charles, New Orleans, And on into Wednesday, that moves into the southeast, Macon, Albany, Georgia, Tallahassee, and Pensacola. So it's not that it's never happened before, but for this early in the season, this far in advance, for the Severe Storm Center to be putting out these kind of warnings already is really unusual.
I feel like you are going to be a busy man for the next week or so. Al Roker, as always, thank you so much.
Sadly.
It's great to have you on the show. Thank you, friend.
Okie doke.
Hearings today on Capitol Hill were meant to try to help historically black colleges and universities that have been targeted by bomb threats this year. At least 36 HBCUs in all, more than a dozen of those threats. Remember, coming on the first day of Black History Month, one student from Howard University talked about what it's been like to live through this.
Students were repeatedly woken up with safety alerts, sometimes as late as 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning, constantly leaving us on edge and feeling as if the next threat was all but imminent.
The FBI did say the FBI rather says they think one person is responsible for most of these bomb threats, but nobody's been arrested yet. Ron Allen is joining us now with more on this. And Ron, I know you've been covering these threats since they've been happening, right? Talk about the takeaways from the hearings. What did we learn?
Well, you heard the student and some of the university presidents testified, and they were trying to make it clear that this is a huge problem that extends over the HBCU family. There have been 36 schools that have been targeted by threats, and there are 101 schools altogether. And they all feel this, and the students feel that this is, and the community feels that this is targeted at them because of who they are, because these are institutions that are educating the next generation of black leaders. And it was pointed out that there's, in a broader context, that there's been a rise in hate crimes across the country, a rise in activity by white supremacist groups. And Vice President Harris the other day said that there have been at least 80 threats when you consider HBCUs, houses of worship, synagogues, other institutions of higher learning. So this is a problem across the country. And as you were saying, they have identified a small group of persons of interest. They say one person, a juvenile, is responsible, they think, for a majority of cases. But the FBI official who was there testifying really couldn't answer questions, he said, about what all that means, because it sounds like they're pretty close, but they haven't arrested anyone. And this has been going on now for several months. And the last one was earlier this week at Morehouse University in Atlanta, so it's continuing.
It's not like it's over yet. Ron Allen, thank you for staying on top of those hearings for us. Appreciate it. We got some breaking news here, an update that is just into us in the last couple of minutes on that Texas crash that left 9 people dead. The NTSB is now saying it was the 13-year-old boy who was driving a pickup truck that crossed the center line and hit a van carrying a college golf team. It seems like a front tire that was apparently a spare tire failed, so that 13-year-old lost control of the truck. The victims include that 13-year-old, his passenger, 6 college golfers from the University of the Southwest, and their coach. 2 other college students are still in the hospital. We'll stay on top of that story, but we've got a lot more to get to tonight, including a new update on the investigations into murdered journalists in Mexico, how the government there is trying to do something now, plus just how easy it is to get your hands on a so-called ghost gun. That's one that cannot be traced. NBC News has that investigation coming up in a sec. The Mexican government today is laying out a plan to try to stop the murder of journalists, which, listen, is happening at a shocking rate there. We told you 24 hours ago on this show that an 8th journalist had been killed there this year alone. These are their names. These are who they are. It's almost a journalist a week this year so far. Mexico is considered one of the most dangerous places in the world for press freedom and for journalists. So here you have the feds in Mexico announcing this new task force to try to work with local officials to investigate these murders. They're saying more than a dozen people have been arrested so far in connection with 4 of the murders. But here's the thing. We just told you about how 8 journalists have been killed this year. The government's only counting 6 of them. Quad Venegas is here to break this down. First, Quad, why? Why aren't they looking at all 8?
Well, Hallie, the local media in Mexico has chosen to go with the number 8 in a sign of protest because the government says only 6 of them were journalists. The other 2, one worked part-time, and then the other one had stopped working as a journalist, and that's why they've decided not to count them. Yet colleagues in Mexico, members of the media, agree that all 8 of them were journalists and should be considered journalists. So as a form of protest, they continue to report that 8 journalists have been murdered in Mexico.
It's significant that this task force has at least been created, but why now, right? I mean, we've had reporting from you and from our colleagues who cover this for a couple of months now about how concerned people are about this.
Hallie, if you look at the last 20 years in Mexico, about 150 journalists have been murdered. That's an alarming number. Now, the murders that happened this year have gotten a lot of attention, especially with Margarito Martinez. He was a photographer that was murdered in Tijuana who worked with a lot of American journalists. He was very well known by people that worked in San Diego at the Union Tribune. So after that murder, there was a lot of pressure coming from local and from international journalists against the Mexican president and the government. They had to do something, so they created this special task force that has been working with different state authorities in Baja California, Veracruz, and in Michoacan to try to find those responsible. And, you know, they just announced they've made 16 arrests connected to 4 of these murders. And then the murder that just happened this week, they've now identified, as you can see on the screen, the 2 suspects connected to that murder. So they're moving forward with these efforts under heavy pressure from local and international media.
What is it like, I mean, for people in Mexico who are living there? Because there is attention on these journalists, of course, but there are a lot of, you know, unsolved violent crimes that are going unpunished in Mexico, too.
Right. So, you know, one of the things in Mexico is that criminals feel like they can commit a murder and they won't get caught because a lot of these crimes don't have the investigation necessary to follow up and find a suspect, then convict someone. So the president is now trying to make a point by arresting these individuals. Now, they haven't been convicted yet, but if convicted, they're probably going to get a harsh sentence. Now, when you look at the laws in Mexico, sentencing for murder is not as harsh as you would see in the United States. But still, the government wants to make an example because there's outcry all across Mexico, issues with public safety. Just this week in Mexico, the government arrested the leader of the largest cartel in the north part of the country and extradited him to the United States. So they're really stepping up enforcement, not just when it comes to members of cartels, but the murder of journalists, but just public safety in general, the government doing what they can with murders that continue for the most part to be unsolved in the country.
Squad Venegas, glad to have you with us. Thank you. Gun violence in this country has been going up, and so has the number of ghost guns. Do you know what a ghost gun is? They're guns that are basically untraceable. There's like no record of them. You don't actually need a background check to buy them. And the LAPD, for example, says they recovered nearly 2,000 ghost guns last year. They were used in at least 24 homicides. So our team here at NBC News was wondering, how do you buy them? How long does it take to build one, right? Our own Vaughn Hilliard pursued an investigation on this. He ended up at a gun show in Pennsylvania last month to show just how easy it is to buy one of these. That's Vaughn talking with one of the sellers. And then the team found that all it takes to put it together is clicking on to YouTube, right? Getting on to look at a tutorial. I want to bring in Vaughn Hilliard now. Vaughn, I know you're going to have more on top story on this. Tell us a little bit now about the pursuit of this story and what it shows.
Right. Nobody can no longer claim naivety to the prevalence of ghost guns and the extent to which they have surged in our communities here. We've known about ghost guns now for a number of years, but what you are seeing, or what law enforcement are seeing, are a dramatic uptick in the number that are being confiscated and recovered from crime scenes. Just take Philadelphia. From 2019 to 2021, the number of recovered ghost guns increased 5 times here. And you can see, we were in Philadelphia this last month here and at a gun show. It went up and it was a simple cash transfer. There is no background check to purchase one of these. All it takes is that cash, no ID required, no background check. For all they know, I could have been a convicted felon. And they handed over that kit, then within just about an hour was able to be constructed into a ghost gun.
So, Vaughn, let me say this, though, because you also caught up with one of the guys, I think the guy who had helped put this particular gun show together. And his point was, hey, nothing that they're doing is illegal here. This is not illegal.
Right. There is 40 states right now that do not regulate statewide ghost guns. Again, that means just 10 states have actually taken legislative action to address this here. I was talking with the Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro, who says, hey, look, we just want to be able to treat ghost guns in the same way that we treat another handgun, another firearm. Meaning if you go to that gun show, that you have to submit to a background check in order to take on and receive and acquire one of these kits here. But after we were leaving that show, that gun show, I was able to actually track down Jordan Monroe. He is the major ghost gun kit supplier in Pennsylvania. And after a little back and forth, he agreed to come on camera, in which I asked him about the prevalence of the ghost gun industry today. Take a listen.
No, because I'm not a criminal.
But you're essentially handing them a piece that they can build in a half an hour and turn it into a gun.
Yeah, you can get keys and a pack of Budweiser and drunk drive, kill somebody too.
Which essentially is his case for when I asked him whether he bears any responsibility when these guns get into the hands of convicted felons who, if they were to submit themselves to a background check, would not be able to receive a handgun otherwise. You just heard him there. He claims no responsibility.
Vaughn Hilliard, it's great reporting. We look forward to seeing more of it. I'm glad that you did it. Glad that you brought it to us, Vaughn. Thank you. Top story tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll look for you. Let's get you over to the 5 things now our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1. The Justice Department has come to a deal with families of the Parkland school shooting victims. It's $127.5 million, and it settles dozens of civil cases connected to, of course, what happened in Parkland in 2018 that killed 17 people. In the lawsuit, the families accused the FBI of negligence and said even though the Bureau got tips about the shooter, they say it did nothing to stop him. Number 2, Florida police have arrested more than 100 people in a human trafficking sting connected to Disney. Officials say at least 4 Disney employees and a retired judge were part of the group taken in. Those Disney employees are on unpaid leave right now. The days-long undercover operation targeted predators trying to force victims into prostitution. Number 3, New Zealand is opening up its borders a little earlier than planned. So if you're looking for a trip, the country's going to let in some international tourists after a couple of years, 2 of them, of major COVID isolation. The Prime Minister says starting next month, vaccinated travelers from Australia can visit without needing to quarantine. If you are not Australian, if you are watching us here in the United States and not overseas, you'll be able to get to New Zealand in May. Mark your calendars, get those tickets. Number 4, Dolly Parton, she is still on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ballot, even though, remember, we told you just a couple days ago, she said she was declining her nomination because she thought she hadn't earned a spot. Well, the Hall of Fame feels a little differently. It says it would be proud to name her as a potential inductee and noted her, quote, pioneering spirit. Voting is already going on, so we're going to see how this plays out for Dolly. Stay tuned. And number 5, NASA. Slow ride of the Artemis 1 rocket right now toward the launch pad at Cape Canaveral. This is a live look from NASA TV that'll be showing all of it. It's part of the program to eventually get astronauts back on the moon. It's an unmanned mission, and NASA's hoping to launch in May. The 4-mile trip should take about 11 hours. When the rocket heads to space, it's going to be going a lot faster. After the break. While the attacks continue, keep up on the ground in Ukraine, Russian media is being hit with a lot of resignations. Why journalists are walking out on the job and protesting their own country. And big concerns tonight over what could be this new method of semi-warfare. Why experts say deep fakes could only make the whole thing worse. We've got to look at that next. So, you know, we've been talking about this crisis in Ukraine, this invasion. Well, now you have these Russian journalists working at Russian state TV who were apparently walking right off the job, according to a new BBC report. Let's start over at RT. This is a state network the Department of Justice here once called the alter ego of the Kremlin. Maria Baranova, their chief editor, just quit. It's not just her, their London correspondent, their Moscow-based journalist, a French presenter, all deciding they are done. Bye-bye, RT. You've also got 2 journalists from NTV, another state-sponsored station. They recently quit. One had reportedly been with the network more than 30 years. All of it's coming on top, really, of this moment, when a journalist with Channel 1 protested on TV, holding up, remember this huge sign that said no war? Hours after that, one of her colleagues at Channel 1 also resigned. Ken Jelanian joins me now. So, Ken, here's the interesting thing about this, right? We've seen these protests in the street in Russia, people risking prison time, going behind bars for this. We know the woman who showed up with that sign on TV, also potentially, risking time behind bars. The Kremlin has tried to crack down, threatening 15 years in prison for people responsible for what they call fake news, i.e., right, news the Kremlin doesn't like. So this isn't a large number. This isn't hundreds of journalists, right? But it is people in high-profile positions who have decided we're not going to take it anymore.
That's right. I mean, the first thing to be said, though, is that some of these people have been parroting Russian propaganda for years. So it's fair to say, okay, you were okay with the seizure of Crimea.
Well, 2014, right?
Where
were we then? That's a good
poisoning
point.
political opponents, but now Putin has gone too far.
Okay.
But at the same time, the fact that these comfortable state-sponsored journalists are walking off the job does speak to how much opposition there is in Russia against this war.
That's a good point, right? I mean, these folks, some of them have been around for a while. You've got non-Kremlin media, right? Some independent journalists who have been under attack for years. We know reportedly some have left the country for safety because of this new crackdown by the Kremlin. What does it mean as far as what's left for regular Russians, right? If you're sitting in Russia and you're outside Moscow and you turn on the TV, what do you see?
You're seeing nothing but state-sponsored media. Russia has purged the country of independent media and has purged state media of dissident voices. And so many Russians, probably most Russians, do not understand what's happening in Ukraine right now. They think the war is mostly in the east. They don't know that Kyiv is being bombed. They think there are no civilian casualties. They're told that Russian troops are greeted as liberators. Now, at the same time, they're not sheep, and it's a lot of people in Russia support.
What do you
Putin.
mean they're not sheep?
Well, sheep. I mean,
sheep.
What I mean
yes,
is
yes.
that even if there was opposition media, look at the United States. We have the freest media in the world, and millions of people believe that the last election was stolen falsely. So there are a lot of people in Russia that support this war and support Putin, but it's absolutely true that they've purged the media of dissent.
Well, can you talk a little more about that? Because you wonder, at what point does it start to make a dent? Does it start to get through to the people that you're talking about here, right? Like that the people on their favored channels are now starting to quit and move on, et cetera. Like at what point does that actually start to make a difference?
Well, there are other sources of media. There's Telegram. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you may have seen, put out a very powerful video today speaking directly to the Russian people. To the extent that's getting to most Russians, it's not clear. Another thing that's happening, though, is that over here we have a far-right media, including Tucker Carlson on Fox News, parroting Russian propaganda. And there's even reporting that Russian state media was asked to use more clips of that in their own channel. So while the EU and others are shutting down RT and other Russian state media organs, some of that propaganda is leaking into our own media here in the United States.
It's so interesting. You think there's going to be more to come?
Yeah, well, I think there's definitely an effort by probably the United States government and others to get the message to the Russian people, like we saw with that Schwarzenegger video.
Yeah.
And I think that's ongoing.
Ken Delanian, great stuff. Thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Thanks.
If you were shocked to see a video of Ukrainian President Zelensky telling his soldiers to surrender in the fight against Russia, you should have been shocked because the video wasn't real. It's fake, right? This was a picture of it. We have labeled it deep fake, because we don't want people to get confused. But that video, what you're seeing behind him, Zelensky in the green shirt, that's not even real. That's not Zelensky. It's super manipulated. Hackers put up this video, which made the rounds on social media and then ended up picked up on live TV, national TV in Ukraine, on that TV network's website, too. President Zelensky responded with this, Telegram. You heard Ken reference Telegram as a mode of communication. He put out a Telegram video saying, no, we don't plan to lay down any arms until our victory. But these deep fakes are a new example of this frontier in war that is emerging more and more. What are deep fakes, right? They're videos where, like you just saw, somebody, Zelensky, somebody else, has been digitally altered to do and say anything. They're usually used to spread misinformation. We don't know who's behind this one of Zelensky. But Ukraine had been warning about the possibility of Russia spreading fake videos of this very thing as part of its information warfare. Jolyn Kent is covering this story for us and joins us now. And it's so interesting that this video managed to make it on live, national television in Ukraine and get this message out that wasn't real, that was totally fake to a ton of people.
Yeah, I mean, how quickly does it travel, right? We've been covering these deep fakes for years, and the Department of Defense has been trying to stop them over at DARPA. Major tech companies are trying to stop the spread as well, like YouTube and Facebook. So today I called up the research director of the USC Information Sciences Institute here in Los Angeles, and he told me that basically deep fakes are a major threat to democracy, even still, having covered this for years now. And he says that the tools that they have catch deep fakes more than 90% of the time. But this one, if you look closely at the beard, this was easy to spot, right? Relatively speaking, it was a very bad deep fake. You could tell there was the jerky mouth movements, the inconsistent head and neck. But you know what? That doesn't take away from the fact that deep fakes are really misleading. And this fake video of fake Zelensky offering to surrender, experts have long basically warned Hallie that deep fakes are used for malicious political purposes. It's happening again. And Ukrainian officials have been onto this for a while. They've been warning for weeks that Russia was going to try to pull off what this video tried to say.
What about the social media companies where this stuff is spreading? What is their responsibility here?
Yeah, so Facebook told us they, quote, quickly took it down, but it had been up for some time, and YouTube and Twitter saying that they also took action. But critics say no, that big tech is not doing enough. And one of the strongest critiques from the director of the USC Information Sciences Institute I was just talking about, Wael Abda Al-Magid, he tells me that the real work means sacrificing engagement, sacrificing clicks, and profit will go down on these social media platforms in order to meet what he calls the ethical and moral imperative of bad information, creating all these problems. And he's basically saying that the big tech companies are, quote, failing from a moral and ethical perspective, and that in order to really fight misinformation, they've got to do it at the expense of lower stock value, lower revenue, and politicians got to start thinking in the same vein.
But there's something bigger here, too, which it feels like the question of undermining the legitimacy of any video is out there, right? If I'm looking now at any video that I see and I'm going, well, is that Joel and Ken or is that a deep fake? Like, I don't know, right? Like, that can be potentially a pretty dangerous slippery slope.
Yeah, very dangerous. So put your critical thinking cap on. You should always be questioning the legitimacy of any video that you see online, especially if it lives on social media. If it looks weird, a little fishy, your gut instinct is probably right. You got to check the source, look around, and practice that good social media hygiene, because if it looks weird, if it sounds weird, if it sounds unlikely, chances are it probably is, Hallie.
It's a common sense goes a long way. You know what
Shocking.
I mean? Joel and Ken, sit on top of this angle for us. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Still ahead. California guy took 2 bear cubs from their den only to give them back because he says he couldn't take care of them. Well, he's a dude, not a bear. We're going to have more details on his guilty plea now coming up in the local. And a temporary ban on Kanye's Instagram after he went after Trevor Noah with racial slurs. We've got more on what's going on with him and why mental health advocates and emotional abuse advocates are really concerned. Transgender athlete Leah Thomas is competing in the NCAA swimming championships tonight and could make history. We'll explain why she's getting some support and some heat. But first, NBC News covers hundreds of stories every day. And because you couldn't possibly read or watch or listen to them all, our bureau teams have done it for you. This is what they tell us is going down in their regions in a segment we call The Local. From our West Coast Bureau, a California man has pleaded guilty to taking these 2 little baby cubs from their den, little baby bears. They were taken back in 2019. The man only told officials after he realized he wasn't able to take care of them. He faces fines, probation, community service hours. Luckily, the bears are safe and sound back where they belong, in the wild. From our Southeast Bureau, the mayor of Surfside, Florida, has been voted out of office. You may remember Surfside, of course, as the seaside town where a condo collapsed last year and killed 98 people. In the city's first election since the accident, Charles Burkett came in third. A local business owner will be the new mayor. And from our Washington Bureau here, the City Council is taking a look at a bill that would protect domestic workers against workplace discrimination. It would cover people who are nannies, housekeepers, and caretakers against things like stealing wages and too big of a workload. If it's passed, the bill would help more than 9,000 workers in Washington, many of them immigrants and women of color. We are going to sneak in a quick break, but when we come back, more on that potential history-making moment for Penn's Leah Thomas. Welcome back to Hallie Jackson Now on NBC News Now. And tonight, the first D1 transgender swimmer is off to a pretty good start in the NCAA swimming and diving championships. Leah Thomas winning big at this morning's prelims, and she's going to swim in 3 events during the competition, including the 500-yard freestyle tonight. She's been dominating her races for the University of Pennsylvania's women's team after spending 3 years competing on the men's team. She says it was all about being her true self.
My mental health was not very good. There was a lot of unease about basically just feeling trapped in my body.
The team posted this picture, 2 members of it, cheering on Leah and a couple other teammates. One other Penn swimmer has spoken out anonymously about what she sees as an unfair advantage. Blaine Alexander is joining me now.
Well, history has just been made in the swimming pool here in Atlanta, Georgia. Leah Thomas has just become the first openly transgender D1 collegiate athlete to win an NCAA championship. She has won the 500-yard freestyle here at the NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships. And it certainly was something that was watched by so many people around the country. Now, let's talk very quickly about that race. You know, it was very close going up into it, but in the last 150 yards or so, that's where Leah really started to pull away and sailed to a decisive victory there in that pool. She spoke afterwards on the pool sidelines to a reporter, and she was asked, you know what, she's been in the spotlight so much leading up to this race. How did she deal with the pressure? Well, she said that she tried to block it all out. She tried to just focus on swimming and cancel all the noise out, she said, and she was just so happy and that the race meant so much to her. Now, let's talk about some of that conversation because, of course, there was a lot of scrutiny. This was an event that she had dominated throughout the season, and with her strong performance came a lot of scrutiny, not just on Leah or her teammates at the University of Pennsylvania, but on the rules of the sport itself. Now, NCAA rules say that she had to have been, or any athlete has to participate in 12 months of hormone replacement therapy. Leah had about 34, so that surpasses what the NCAA is calling for. So she met the requirements to be able to participate on the women's team. But in the run-up to these championships, we saw anonymous teammates really on both sides, some coming out with letters of support for her, but others coming out against, saying that she still has unfair physical advantages that they believe put other women at a disadvantage. I want to tell you very quickly about the mood around the pool today. Out at the Aquatic Center, I was there. I saw just a handful of protesters, and that should be emphasized, just a handful, less than a dozen people protesting outside. There was at least one protester inside holding a banner during her race. But again, Leah Thomas says she blocked out the noise. She's just trying to sail to the championship. That race is over. Still two more to go. The 100 and the 200-yard freestyles. She's favored to win the 200, also has a shot in the 100. Those are the other things that are coming up this weekend as we watch her continue to make history here in Atlanta.
Kanye West, suspended from Instagram for 24 hours for violating the company's policies. He's still suspended now. And it wasn't because of his behavior against his ex, Kim Kardashian, but because he reportedly posted a photo of comedian Trevor Noah and used a racial slur. We should note NBC News has not seen the original posts, which have since been deleted. It happened after Noah took time in his show this week to spotlight that ongoing feud between Kanye and Kim playing out on social media. Kind of a one-sided feud. It's really coming all from Kanye. He's posted many times about Kim since their divorce, despite her pleas for him to stop. And he recently posted a video depicting her new boyfriend's head being cut off. But what Noah points out is that people are looking at this feud, right? They're online, they're reading about it, they're talking about it, and some of them aren't really thinking about the safety of Kim Kardashian, who he believes and other advocates believe is being harassed online by a guy who's admittedly and has acknowledged having mental health issues. It's a story we're following. Back to Ukraine now for a look at the attack on the food supply there. Russia apparently targeting food storage facilities that are so important for the survival of innocent people there. Take a look. 50,000 tons of food. 50,000 tons in just one spot. Ash. Debris. I mean, look at that. Our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, is in the outskirts of Kyiv at one of those warehouses, one of the largest in the country that's been hit twice.
Russia has now clearly resorted to siege warfare. It has surrounded the city of Mariupol, and here in Kyiv, it seems that Russia wants to starve people out. This was one of the country's biggest food storage facilities, and it's completely destroyed. There were 50,000 tons of food here, and the way it worked is food would come from all over the country, be stored here, trucks would pick it up, and then distribute it to the areas all around Kyiv. And it wasn't just bombed once. This was no accident. You could say, well, maybe the Russians hit it by accident. It's a large place. It was hit twice, and then another food storage facility just about a mile from here was also attacked. So 3 strikes seems like it could not have been a coincidence, and that Russia is attacking civilians, it's surrounding cities, and it's trying to starve people.
Our Richard Engel in Ukraine there. That does it for us this hour. We're so glad that you joined us. We'll have more for you here tomorrow, same time, same place. Coverage picks up right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.